My name is Colleen Janke, and I'm the owner of Savory Kitchen. I got into the culinary industry actually by doing a program over in Italy. So I decided to open Savory Kitchen because I felt like there was a hole where there wasn't an upscale place to learn to cook that incorporated wine and food pairings, incorporated a lot of seasonality into it, and was a place to learn how to cook, incorporate new skills, but also a place to get away.
Welcome to the food pantry.
Wow, this is great. So much produce.
Yeah.
Let's get started.
Awesome.
So I'm definitely gonna grab some eggs. Ooh, these look good. Definitely need some dairy. I'm thinking dessert. So far I'm leaning towards a bread pudding, but we'll see when I get around to the produce what looks good, what's piquing my interest. These apples look great. For different apple desserts, I like to go different directions. If I was doing a pie, I'd probably stick with something a little bit less tangy, but the dessert I'm thinking of is a bread pudding. And for this, the tang will be perfect. It surprised me how much fresh produce there was. There's bins and bins and bins of different fresh produce. Looking for a bread to have the base of my bread pudding be. Since I'm going with the kind of tangier apples, I'm gonna do a salted caramel sauce. I think I'm gonna go with a standard sourdough baguette kind of loaf and see how that pans out. I saw tons of different vegetables and herbs, and the basil looked delicious. So I was torn in a lot of different directions given how fresh everything looked. All right, I think I'm all set. I think I'm gonna go with an apple bread pudding. I've selected a sourdough bread as the kind of the base of the bread pudding. I'm gonna be incorporating some lemons, a little bit of mint, the apples. I'm gonna do a mixture of buttermilk and milk to kind of get that creamy aspect going. Of course, we've got eggs. I grabbed some pumpkin. I'm gonna go with a marshmallow topping, I think, and then a little bit of cream cheese I'm gonna experiment with. Got all my ingredients for my bread pudding. Let's see what we can do in the kitchen. I opened Savory Kitchen 3 years ago. We do culinary classes with a wine pairing focus. We do a lot of corporate team building events. So we've got our sourdough bread, we've cut some of it up. We decided to go with a really small chunk. You could leave these bigger, but because the sourdough bread's a little bit kind of on the harder side, we decided to go with small bite-sized chunks. So we're just gonna put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the pan. The inspiration is really seasonal. Fall is one of my favorite times of year. I love to go apple picking. The apples that you guys have in the kitchen looked so great. Fresh, tangy, firm, and I couldn't get away from that flavor of kind of a caramelized apple in a bread pudding. 6 eggs in a bowl. We've got 1.5 cups of buttermilk and 1.5 cups of milk. We're gonna combine these two. Add some pumpkin. I think I'm gonna add about a cup, maybe just a little bit under a cup. Mix it until everything gets broken up. And then we are going to add the sugar. We've got about 1 cup of sugar here. Now that we've got it all incorporated and mixed together, I'm gonna add enough of the wet mixture over the bread to just kind of coat it through. Okay, we'll let that sit while we go saute our apples. So I'm gonna add some sugar to a super hot pan, spread it out nice and evenly. We're gonna try and get it to brown and get a little caramel going. Right when it gets to the color that you want, the color of caramel maybe a little bit darker, that's when you're gonna turn off the heat and add your cream. Such a great cause. I think it's such an out-of-the-box idea to bring the awareness to people of how it is to shop at a food pantry and to work with such a budget. And how can you get creative and feed your family healthy, exciting dishes. Move that over to the side, let that hang out while we make our salted caramel sauce. We're gonna start with some sugar in the bottom of the pan. So just like before, it's gonna seize up a little bit. So now we're gonna take our sauteed apples, bring them back, and layer them in with the bread pudding. So we're gonna layer our apples on top of the bread. So this is gonna become our center layer. Now we're gonna make our cinnamon cream cheese dollops to go around the apples. I'm gonna take about a teaspoon of cinnamon, maybe a little less, and kind of sprinkle it over the cream cheese. And we're gonna work it into the cream cheese. I'm just gonna do chunks of the cream cheese throughout the bread pudding. All set, so now we've got our cream cheese evenly distributed throughout the bread pudding. Now we're gonna finish by topping it with the rest of the bread. And then we're gonna add salted caramel sauce. We're gonna cover it with tin foil and stick it in a 350-degree oven for about 30-35 minutes. So it's been in the oven for 35 minutes. Take off our foil, and now we're gonna add the marshmallows and stick it back in for another about 5 minutes. So now that they're a little bit melted, we're gonna pull them out and torch the top. And here is our apple pumpkin bread pudding with a salted caramel and marshmallow topping.